How's it going, everyone? Retnu here with Train Set Club, and this is a very special episode of Spotlight Station. I'm joined by a very special guest, Alex Blackard, also known as Les Alex.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Thank you so much for being here today, Alex.
Absolutely.
Now it's the question time.
It's the time to quiz me.
Yes. So you've been doing a lot of cool stuff recently on the internet.
Yes, I would agree with that statement.
On the internet, yes.
I think so.
So one of the things that's really been sticking out is Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah.
So what have you been doing with that?
So yeah, Magic the Gathering and Magic the Gathering Arena, they're brand new. Well, not brand new. It's pretty new. Their new game. It's on the internet now. It's live. It's not in beta anymore. I've been streaming it a lot. I have a YouTube channel. Obviously, I'm on Twitch. And I also have a podcast called Control Freak. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So. I've been seeing a lot of the Control Freak episodes, and I'm really in awe with how many episodes you have now. Because I remember when you started. What are you actually up to now?
So yeah, we're doing the 33rd episode. We'll be recording that with my teammate and good buddy Adam Cohen tomorrow. And yeah, it's been a blast. Basically, we take you through different formats. So I focus on Pioneer and I focus on Modern. We sprinkle in a little bit of Standard through the eyes of a control player. Blue-White Control, Azorius, spreading Azorius propaganda to the masses. And that's basically what it is. Yeah, 33, I can't believe that it's a sponsored podcast. That's insane to me. Starting off, I literally recorded the very first episode on this phone in my car on the way home from work, and now it's I have an actual mic, and it's sponsored, and it's incredible. I can't fathom the fact that I'm on the 33rd episode.
That's very cool. So Congratulations on that, first of all.
It's mind-blowing.
What was your big motivation in starting that first episode, and what were some of the challenges that came up along the way?
So I had a podcast with two of my buddies, Evan and Kyle, and that lasted... So funny thing is, actually, it wasn't a podcast. It was never on any podcast platforms. We did stream it on Twitch, and we uploaded it onto YouTube, so it was a podcast in essence, but just not on any of the podcast platforms. Kyle had to step away for personal reasons, and then me and Evan kind of scrambled to find a third person. We did find a third person, and it only lasted, just overworked. I felt overworked, and nothing against. I'm still great friends with all three of the people that were associated with it. That was Metagame Media was the name of that one, and that was kind of a generalized Magic podcast where we talked about basically the week of that was Magic the Gathering. And that was super fun, and I learned a lot, but I learned that much like the name of the podcast, I was a bit of a control freak in terms of everything had to be perfect. If you check out the episodes on YouTube, I have a very streamlined look. Every episode needs to look a certain way. But yeah, I was just on my way home. I was like, dude, I want to make a podcast, but I really don't know what I would make it about. And I was thinking, I'm sitting there literally on my way home from work. It's like midnight or close to 1 a.m. And I'm just like, control. That's what I love. That's what I know. It's super niche. I always joke with people too, because people are like, oh, you have a podcast. What's it about? Well, it's a niche inside of a niche inside of a niche. Like gaming, Magic the Gathering, and control. So it's very specific. I don't ever expect it to become the next Joe Rogan experience or anything like that. But for the people I think that listen to it, and they've given me feedback, and I can't believe that people I still to this day can't believe that people listen to my podcast, but they've given me feedback and love it for the most part. I don't know. That's kind of where it came from, though. It came from what do I love and what do I know about, and that's kind of where it all came from. And I just kind of recorded it, came up with the name of the podcast off the rip, just this is what it's going to be. It makes perfect sense. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And you've come such a long way from episode 1 to episode 33. What were some of those big moments in that journey that stick out in your mind? Some of those big accomplishments.
So there's a good friend of mine now, but at the time, a guy who's really big on in the Magic scene as being like the control guru, kind of. He in every sense of he's a coach for. He coaches players. He's on Solitary Pro, which is the team I'm actually on now. He, for whatever reason, found a liking to the podcast, and he DM'd me on Twitter. He followed me on Twitter actually at first. I'm like, this is real. Like, so it's Francesco Amati, and he's a great dude, and one of my good friends now. But he followed me, and I'm like, yo, okay. That's crazy. And then he DM'd me and was like, hey man, love the work you're doing for the community. Cause he's like huge in the blue white control community. And he's like, I would really enjoy if I could come on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, next week, like is ASAP. Like, cause I don't plan it out. Like I know a lot of people might think that I'm planned out like weeks in advance. Like, no, I pretty much, after I end an episode, so it comes out Sunday night at midnight, so Monday at midnight. But I really just, as soon as the podcast is out, then that Monday, while it's getting its views or whatever, or downloads or whatever, I think about, okay, who do I want to have on next week? So that was really the first and biggest in my mind, like I might be onto something here moment.
When you started, was that one of your goals to get him on board, or is that something just happened?
No, it was like super random and just like super awesome that he was like, hey dude, I really like what you're doing. Like at first I was just like, I'm going to record on my phone. And then it started to like momentum, like the views or downloads or whatever started to really pick up. And then I was like, maybe I should put this on YouTube because it seems like people are enjoying it. So maybe we can cast a wider net, if you will. And that's whenever, I think his episode 7, I'll never forget it. It was Neo, because that's his nickname. Neo, episode 7, that was the first episode that I put on YouTube. And that was the first episode that I got on Spotify. And from there, it's just kind of snowballing a little bit. It's pretty incredible.
That's awesome. What, if any, advice to give to people who are thinking about starting a YouTube channel, or people who are maybe afraid or don't really know like where to begin? What would be some of like your words of wisdom to give to them? So
that's actually interesting. The last episode 32, I did a content creation episode. I kind of took a break from the control stuff and had 2 of my newest but best content creator friends, Time Walk TV and Hey Kona. They're both Twitch streamers. They're both awesome. Time Walk also has a YouTube channel that he puts a lot of time in. Like he does Twitch streaming and he does YouTube. It's incredible. And he makes like 2 videos a week and streams 3 times. Anyways, but that's what that episode 32 was all about. But I guess just honestly, it's consistency. I've missed 1 episode, and that was because I was in Dallas for an event. We went to SCG Dallas. That was the only event. That was the only episode I've missed in all 34 weeks or whatever it has been. So consistency, because your first one, if you go back and listen to the first episode, it's terrible. Like it is not good. You can literally hear me like drive sounds. You can hear like cars passing, and like it might even have been raining maybe. So you can hear all that in the very first episode, and it's bad. That's what I'm saying. Is your first episode or whatever, your first piece of content will be bad. You will look back at it 6 months from then or 3 months from then and be like, wow, that was terrible. And then you'll see your stuff now and be like, oh, it's pretty good. And then I'm sure in 3 months from now, I'll look back and be like, that was terrible. So it's all about being consistent and constantly honing your craft and really putting time into it, right? Like, I mean, this isn't an interview on you, but you can understand.
Absolutely. Now, have you ever had the urge to like go back and delete some of the content that you released previously or anything like that? Actually,
you're asking excellent questions. So I used to have a thing on YouTube that I still have up there called Threads for Less, and I keep it there people have actually asked me what is like, this isn't Magical Aid. What is this? I also am like really into like sneaker and streetwear. And I didn't delete it because I really liked those kind of videos. It's much different than the types of videos I make now where I'm kind of like reviewing a product. That's how those are. Now I'm kind of just doing gameplay videos if I'm making any Magic content on my YouTube. So I just keep it on there just to look back and say, hey, this is where I came from and this is where I am now. Because I don't know, it's kind of cliche, but like there aren't any mistakes. You're just learning, like,
For sure.
Especially in content. You're just always progressing and getting better.
Yeah.
So
just want to say I loved your Threads for Less.
I did too. You made the intro video. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but you're onto something with that.
It's just it got too expensive. It really did. Like trying to keep up with what the hottest shoe was or what the hottest like streetwear brand was. It just got too expensive.
That's why sponsorships are so great, right?
Sponsorships are excellent. Yeah, shout out to Card Hoarder. They are now the official sponsor of my streams. So shout out to them. They're awesome. Woo! Yeah. But yeah, I mean, sponsorships are awesome. So I basically get to make content other than the time that it takes to make it, to stream or to make a video. I get to do it for free. So
that's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's incredible.
And do you feel like there's a good like sort of sense of synergy there with when you're working with them because they're helping you and you're like doing everything you can to help them out as well?
Oh yeah, they basically just give me a free loan program, which is something that whenever I applied for it, I was super nervous too because I was like, they're not going to give this to me. Like I'm already a customer of theirs. What's the incentive? Granted, I didn't really shout them out at all, but yeah, they were like, I sent all over, hey, I have the podcast, I stream, I have a YouTube, I have X amount of Twitter followers, and that's like a huge meme in Magic is like, oh, you got Twitter clout, bro. But like, it got me a sponsorship. So
would you say that's a big part of it? Not just focusing on one platform, you kind of have to
cast the widest net you can. One of my buddies who is a Twitch streamer also, and he just got into TikTok, and he's like low key kind of blowing up on TikTok. He's got like 15,000 followers or something over like several weeks. And that's something I'm like looking into. I don't know if I'm like that funny, but
I'll join TikTok with you.
Yeah, we'll make some TikToks together maybe.
Sounds like a plan.
But it was funny because he got actually recognized at the Galleria. He's like, wait, you're the J, right? And got called by his tag. He's like, you're the J, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, dude, I love your TikToks. So I was like, yeah, that is insane, dude. So yeah, cast the widest net you can, basically. To answer the question, I kind of.
No, that's really good because like social media and content creation, it's constantly evolving. It seems like, and there's always like not always a new platform, but there's so many different things that you can use to communicate with others. Yeah,
and it feels like every couple years the paradigm kind of shifts to where you should be versus what you might be used to doing. And I feel like the ones that are gonna what's gonna sink and swim is your ability to kind of roll with the punches.
Yeah, and I love how you've niched down 3 times with what you're doing. And a big part of something I've always gone off of is the 4 S's when it comes to putting something out there. It's some people will like it, some people won't like it. So what? Stick with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's how do you uncover the people who are going to love your content?
Just keep going. And that's one thing actually I've started saying at the beginning of each podcast is like, head on, if you dig the podcast, head on over to Apple, give me a 5-star review. And then I say, don't give me a 1-star review. Don't give me a 2-star review. Just DM me on Twitter and tell me how much you hate my content. Like
critique in private, praise in public.
Yeah, exactly. So
have you had any challenges with that as far as like people interacting with you or like any obstacles that
I mean most of the feedback I've gotten is mostly positive. There's obviously going to be trolls. It's the internet. There's always going to be trolls. But you just kind of got to keep pressing forward and just trust what you're doing is worthwhile. And I actually, somebody followed me on stream last night and was like, hey man, I really dig what you're doing. You're really positive and I really enjoy the content that you're making. And he hit the follow button and I was like, dude, like that one word of encouragement, it negates like 10 trolls.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm sure you can kind of agree with that. Like hearing one person that likes your content will really kind of be able to put all that negativity anyone else is throwing on you to the back burner, and you really can focus on. At least I can.
For sure.
I'm pretty positive though. So.
Oh yeah, you're one of the most positive people I know, Alex.
Yeah.
So
well,
you keep it real.
You gotta
keep it real positive.
Keep it real positive.
So, and I'm sure like you have such a good following, and it's almost one of those things too. I feel like the people will have your back too if you do have like one of those like trolls.
One of those trolls. Yeah. So that was one thing too that actually a couple of days ago I posted, which I do almost. I'm streaming the entire month of January. I'm streaming every single night, and I posted in one of the groups that I was going to be doing blue light control gameplay and donation decks. And a couple people in this group didn't like the fact that I was doing donation decks. And this is kind of something that if you don't know aren't in the like Magic the Gathering Twitch side of stuff, it's something that a lot of streamers do for multiple reasons. A, you get to, as the viewer, you get to have your deck played, and then we get to play it obviously and critique it and see how we can make it better with the community. But also it's not just that, it helps obviously support the content creator. You know, it's just a way to show, it's kind of like hitting the subscribe button. It's kind of a way to show, but also you get that added bonus of getting your deck played, seeing how and it really is a monetary thing too for the viewer. Should I invest any money into this deck? Is it worth playing? And there were a couple people that were like, oh, that's so you want me to give you my list and play money, like, but they didn't get it. A lot of people, like 90% of, I actually put a poll up on Twitter and it was 91 to 9%.
Oh wow.
People agreed with me that it wasn't anything nefarious or anything.
For sure. And you were being straightforward and putting all the information out there.
At the end of the day, if you have goods or services and are upfront with people and you agree on a price, there's nothing shady about that. Like,
yeah, I think some people are going to just have that attitude, like that negative attitude, but they're still on watching. So there's something to say about that, I think. Like, even though they have that attitude, like is it still good that they're on there? I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the internet's gonna troll. Like that's just how people are. That's just how the internet is, really.
As far as the Magic the Gathering, I know some video games, when I bring them up, people are like, oh, that game is toxic. People who play it, like, what's the toxicity level in Magic the Gathering?
I mean, I think overall it's positive. From what I can tell, it is a positive. But I think the issue is the internet.
Gotcha.
Just the way that we have these avatars, right? And you can throw up anything and there's no drawback, right? You can be as toxic as you want. And in a lot of the groups too, the admins, it might just be one admin. So there's literally no downside to throwing toxicity around. But I think overall, it's positive. I know that it can be toxic, but you gotta ignore it, especially on the internet. If it's happening in person, if it's happening at your local game store, then obviously say something to somebody.
People are gonna start throwing Magic cards at each other.
No, but if it's happening on the internet, just ignore the trolls. If it happens at your LGS, tell the owner of the LGS or somebody that works there, and they'll get banned.
Gotcha.
Hopefully.
So talking about playing Magic in real life, you've done commentating like at Moonbase Market.
Yep. Rip.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
Moonbase.
About Moonbase or commentating? Or both?
Whatever.
All of it. Okay. I mean, I commentated a bunch for Moonbase. We had the 5Ks and 10Ks. That's a blast. I actually want to do that more. So if you know anybody that needs a commentator, I love doing it. And so, yeah, we've had upwards of like 200 people in chat, and it's crazy to think of, but like,
so you had the games in real life, and you were also streaming on
so
Twitch.
Basically, if this was our table, they'd be playing like normal, and there's an overhead camera here looking down, and then me and somebody else would be commentating, or sometimes it was just me commentating the plays, just like you've seen in League of Legends and Overwatch League, which is, I love Overwatch. Yeah, I love Overwatch League. Go Outlaws! They finally made some moves that make sense. It's not just the same roster from last year. But yeah, it's basically just you're commentating the plays, and it takes a little finesse, and there's a kind of always like that dynamic of this is the person who's breaking down what's happening, and then there's a color commentator kind of thing, like so. But yeah, that's probably the dream, is to like commentate a Grand Prix or a Pro Tour. That would be awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Cool.
But
and
yeah,
do you have any like plans? Anything planned ahead, like in the future for that, or
for that? No, I mean it's just kind of like you gotta get some footage of you doing it, which I have now. So yeah, I mean,
I know a group of people under Wild Bill who would probably love to have you there. They meet every Monday. It's a group of about 10 people that just get together in Wild Bill's basement, and they play Magic.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, holler at me.
Wild Bill.
If you're out there, holler at me. We can work something out. Yeah, I don't know. I guess just if you are starting content creation, or you've thought about starting content creation, my biggest piece of advice would be to just do it. Just first off, don't care what anyone thinks. Just if you're into making Overwatch content, now that is a very saturated thing on Twitch, but niche down and really hone into what you like to do. If you're a Zenyatta player or something, just stream only Zenyatta.
Okay.
And then like really get good at it, and really kind of make yourself an authority on it, and really just do only that. And then I would also say diversify. Don't just have Twitch, because Twitch actually, for discoverability purposes, is terrible. You're always, if you're always at like 3 or 4, you're always going to be, no one's scrolling down. Like they're gonna watch the Skuras of the world before they watch me or anyone else. Diversify. YouTube is great for being able to find people. Start a podcast. If you love Overwatch or you love Magic the Gathering, start a podcast and just be consistent. Consistency is number 1, and then spreading a wide net would be number 2, I think. And obviously be passionate about it, because people can tell if you're being fake.
For sure. So don't just take something that's popular, that's working for somebody else.
Gosh.
Do something that you actually love.
Yes.
Because that will help maintain that consistency that's so important when doing these things.
Yeah. Like I love Magic the Gathering, but I think if I had like a generalized Magic the Gathering podcast like Metagame Media was at this point, I would have probably stopped, because I get to talk every single week about Control and about how these formats, how Control feels in these formats, and how Control is going to be or look like moving forward in these formats. Because as much as I love Magic, I love playing Control more. So
Gotcha.
Definitely niche down, diversify your platforms that you're on, and be real with people, because the internet is undefeated and can sniff out a fake off the rip.
Checkmate.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, Alex, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate it. So go check out Less Alex on all the platforms. Absolutely.
Also, I got the new Control Freak merch. I'm sure there'll be links or something, or cards or something. I'm on Twitch. I'm streaming every single day in January. I don't know if this is going to be out by the end of January.
It'll be out by tomorrow.
Oh, wow. You work fast. You edit much quicker than I do. So, yeah, I'm streaming every single day over at Twitch / Less Alex. YouTube, I'm on there. Oh, and I guess I should shout out to Patreon. Maybe, I don't know. If you end up clicking on the links and find yourself enjoying them, the best way to support the podcast and my content is Patreon. I have perks. I have stickers of this little image, so those go out to all the patrons, and just completed another goal. So shout out to all the patrons. You're all awesome.
Yeah. Yay, patrons.
But yeah, other than that, be kind to one another, Magic players.
All right, bye guys.